Hi everyone, my name is Kate Barker. I read the book called Kim Jae-young, born 1892. It's a novel written by Chu Nam-ju and is translated by Jamie Chang and was published in 2020. So the book really drew me in during the first chapter as a scene is set with Jae-young and her husband talking one night. Suddenly, Jae-young seems to take on the persona of a college friend who had died the year prior. She began to speak the same as the friend, use the same words and mannerisms as the friend, and even tell stories that only the friend and the husband would know about. It seemed like this college friend had taken control of Jae-young's body from the grave. The chapter ends with Jae-young waking up with no recollection and her husband scheduling her a therapy session. The rest of the book explains the life of Jae-young, who was a young woman growing up in Korea. She was born in 1982, making her 6 years older than me. This made it easy for me to imagine myself living the same things that Jae-young was during this period of time, only I was in America. But actually, her life and mine were not that far apart, except for that Korea was, and probably still is, obsessed with having sons instead of daughters and treating men better than women. However, I do think America also treats men better than women, but it's never to the extent of Korea. Korean law said abortion was legal as long as there was an associated medical problem. Well, it seemed that baby being a girl was a medical problem in Korea. Women were aborting their children simply because the baby was a girl. A small portion of the book was dedicated to Jae-young's mother's young life as a woman in South Korea, mostly during the late 50s and early 60s. Her life was mostly made up of working in dirty factories to financially support her brother's educations. This is just the way it was back then. Families' wealth and happiness hinged upon male success. Even in Jae-young's young life, her brother, the youngest of the three children, was treated better than the two daughters. The boys at school were treated better than the girls. Male teachers would sexually harass the female students in college courses, and no one cared. Companies would always hire men over women and always paid them better too. When Jae-young was 20 in 2001, the Ministry of Gender Equality was formed, but there was still gender inequality. The book even mentioned that at one time in Korea was the worst country to be in if you were a working woman. Finally, Jae-young gets married and has a daughter with her husband, which at this point in time is 2000 now, as I am 8 months pregnant with my first child. I too One day, Jae-young is sipping coffee at a park and overheard a group of men in suits saying things like, "I wish I could live off of my husband's money." The words devastated. The last chapter really comes out of nowhere and doesn't leave me with any answers. Still only questions, mainly about why Jae-young is taking on other people's personas. But I don't want to be a spoiler alert, so that's all I'll say about the last chapter. Is in Korea, and most importantly, it revolves mainly about gender inequality and feminism in that country. So, if you're out for a good read, pick up Kim Jae-young, born 1982.